Welcome to the Create on Purpose podcast with Kimberly Michelle. This morning something strange happened to me as I was leaving the gym. I was walking towards a set of automatic doors. There wasn't even a thought about whether they would open, right? Why would there be? They always do. It's how it works. You step forward, the doors open, you keep moving. It's one of those tiny things that happens so often that we don't even notice it anymore. Except today, they didn't open. Right as I was about to walk through those doors, I realized the door was not moving, and it almost closed on me. I stopped in my tracks. For a moment, there was uncertainty. Then it sparked a bigger thought. We spend much of our lives preparing for the extraordinary moments while overlooking the ordinary miracles. A few weeks ago, I assumed my dad would answer the phone when I called. A few months ago, I assumed we would have another bike ride together. We don't realize how much faith we're placing in tomorrow until tomorrow arrives looking different than how we expected. How much of life is built on faith? Not the kind of faith we talk about in churches or books. It's interesting because people often think that faith is something that's reserved only for religion, but I don't think that's entirely true. Every single person practices faith. When I created my business, New Safari, there was no guarantee that anyone would ever buy a print, hang it in a nursery, or connect with the vision I had to bring joy into the world. I just had this belief that creating something meaningful was worth doing. That's faith. When we plant a garden, we're practicing faith. The tiny seed disappears beneath the dirt, and somehow we believe something beautiful is going to emerge. We start the car believing the engine's going to turn over. We make plans for next month. We buy tickets for a trip 6 months from now. We tell people we'll see them next week. All of that is faith. And perhaps the greatest act of faith is loving people. Because every time we show somebody that we love them, we assume there's going to be more time, more conversations, more laughter, more opportunities to tell them what they mean to us. And most of the time, we never notice these acts of faith because everything works exactly as expected, right? The doors open, the phone rings, the car starts, the people we love answer when we call, and then something changes. It's only when something breaks that we realize how much trust there was all along. Maybe that's why different seasons feel so unsettling and why grief is just so disorienting. It isn't just the loss itself. It's the realization that some of the things that we counted on are no longer there. The world looks a little different than it did yesterday. And then we have to learn how to walk forward anyway. The automatic doors this morning reminded me that life is filled with invisible gifts we've stopped noticing. The fact that they usually open is a miracle we've normalized. That something so many times happens that we just stop noticing it. The funny thing is that once these automatic doors finally opened, I walked through them and went on with my day. But the thought stayed with me. Maybe gratitude begins when we start paying attention again, not just to the big blessings, but to the thousands of ordinary things quietly working in our favor every single day. Because someday one of those doors won't open. And when that happens, I hope we've spent enough time appreciating that it opened on all the days before. In closing, the challenge today is simple. Notice one thing you've stopped noticing. One thing you've just come to expect. Some examples might be the coffee maker, the morning light, the sound of someone's voice, the fact that your heart has beaten every single day of your life without asking for recognition. And spend a moment appreciating that. You might discover that what looks ordinary is actually extraordinary. If this episode touched your heart, I would be honored if you shared it with someone else who might need to hear it. And I would love to hear from you. What is the one thing that you've been taking for granted lately that you've been grateful for today? Leave a comment below. Until next time, keep creating on purpose.